Don't let the hot yoga devotees fool you, there is no better way to train than with the air conditioning blasting and an ice bath afterwards. Or so goes the theory behind the hottest new fitness trend, cold temperature workouts. Jimmy Martin and Johnny Adamek launched their New York studio, Burn, see what they did there, in 2018 based on the idea that people can get a better workout and burn more calories exercising at lower temperatures. Burn offers 3 different workout classes, all cooled to a brisk 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Martin, a personal trainer, came up with the idea in 2013 while working with a client who said she felt her best when exercising at cooler temperatures. The anecdote flew in the face of the conventional wisdom that a hot and sweaty workout was the barometer for a great workout experience, Martin says. For her to say that she was encouraged to move versus discouraged to move, which he'd often does, that piqued my interest. The next year he teamed up with Adamek, whose background is in public health, to research the best way to implement the idea. Their early trials took place in a Brooklyn brewery and a Pennsylvania ice factory hovering around 30 degrees. They've since settled on the medium porridge of 50 degrees. Braren's website attributes a host of benefits to cooler temperatures, including better workouts and a fat-burning boost, and it cites the science to back up the claims. The concept centers around thermogenesis, the body's internal heating mechanism that helps us maintain a toasty internal temperature of 98.6 degrees. When we're exposed to the cold, our bodies have to work harder to keep us warm, thereby burning more calories. Kara Okabik, an assistant professor of anthropology at Notre Dame University, who's measured thermogenesis in reindeer herders in Finland, says, "We can see in circumpolar populations, resting metabolic rates can be anywhere between 3% and 20% higher than folks from a temperate climate. You can also see bumps in resting metabolic rate for people who are out in the environment in the winter, as well." The body has a couple ways of adapting to the cold. Blood vessels in the hands and feet constrict to minimize heat escaping. Shivering, those tiny muscle spasms might seem insignificant, but they can generate a lot of heat and burn a lot of calories. And, most exciting to metabolism researchers and weight loss innovators, brown fat, your body's own personal space heater. Brown fat is kind of like a cross between white fat and muscle. Instead of storing excess glucose like white fat, brown fat burns it up, but only when the body gets too cold. For a long time, scientists thought that only infants had brown fat because they can't regulate their body temperature yet. In 2009, however, researchers discovered that brown fat also exists in adults. The cells are located around the neck and collar bones, along the spine, and in pockets near internal organs, the thought being that they keep the organs and arteries that carry blood to the brain warm. Additional research has since revealed that exposure to cold not only activates brown fat, increasing metabolism typically by 10% to 15%, it can increase the amount of it, too, by turning white fat brown. Cue the ice baths. Even though people in colder climates have a higher resting metabolic rate thanks to thermogenesis, that doesn't mean they're losing weight. Ever seen pictures of Vikings, or Minnesota Vikings fans, for that matter? If you are giving cold exposure repeatedly over time, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, sometimes 2 months at a time, you put people in cold rooms a couple hours a day, you can actually increase the brown fat, both the activity and even in terms of volume, says Kong Chen, a senior investigator at the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases. Combining the body's internal means of burning calories, thermogenesis, with an external method, exercise, seemed like a natural next step to optimize weight loss. The only problem is once the body warms up from exercise, the internal heating system shuts off. When you go out into the cold and exercise in the cold, you're keeping your body warm through the exercise, so you don't actually spend more calories trying to stay warm, Okabik explains. You end up losing that benefit by exercising in a cold gym. Because you're just keeping yourself warm by exercising, your body doesn't have to do anything extra because the exercise does it for you. Also, even though people in colder climates have a higher resting metabolic rate thanks to thermogenesis, that doesn't mean they're losing weight. Ever seen pictures of Vikings, or Minnesota Vikings fans, for that matter? Studies have shown that people consume more calories in cold temperatures than in hot or mild ones, especially after a workout. That's because the body really wants to maintain homeostasis, so if you start to burn more calories, you'll probably end up consuming more too. I don't believe that current data has shown that just by increasing burning fat or adapting people to the cold can actually lead to weight loss, Chen says. You really have to think about it in terms of energy balance. We know weight loss leads to a decrease in metabolic rate, it leads to an increase in appetite. Despite the breathless excitement around brown fat and thermogenesis on their website, in an interview with Elemental, Adamic and Martin acknowledged that people are not likely to get a metabolism boost from a burn workout. Instead, they say the real benefit is from a more enjoyable, sustainable workout. The biggest thing that we now are focusing on, and this is important, is performance. Cool temperatures boosts, betters your performance, Adamic says. Here, the experts agree with them. You can actually push yourself harder because you are less likely to overheat just because of that colder air temperature, says Okabic. You can likely push yourself a bit more or a bit longer. As for the other benefits, Adamic says he hopes their studio is the gateway drug to getting more cold in your life, like the ice bath workshops they hold every month. In the meantime, if you want a real cold weather workout, try cross-country skiing or just go for a walk in the snow. In one of Okabic's studies, people burned an extra 1,550 calories a day from being out in the cold. But, she says, that's because trying to navigate a snowy environment is much more physically and metabolically demanding than walking down the street. It's not that cold cost them so much metabolically, she says, it's the very specific outdoor activities that they were taking part in.